अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नान्तः प्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं, न उभयतः प्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं, न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञम्, अदृष्टम् अव्यवहार्यम्, अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम्, अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यम्, एकात्मप्रत्ययसारम्, प्रपञ्च उपशमं शान्तं शिवम्, अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः. So it's been a while since we've had a Saturday class. Happy to be back on the trail of this very important exposition of Vedanta through the Mandukya Upanishad and the Karika. And out of the Mandukya Karika, this is the verse which is the essence of it, and that's why we're spending so much time. And out of this verse, the essence of this verse is this word that we are currently analyzing. This is the essence of who you and I are, really. The one that we are asleep to. This is what Advaita Vedanta says. He says, you think you are fully awake. You're a person, you've got your vidya, your life in front of you, you know what you're doing. You think that, right? I am saying this is, you are really sleeping to your own reality. You are not fully awake. And just like the case where you are kind of like half dreaming, half awake, or really fully dreaming, you are at the mercy of whatever your mind tells you. That's not you. So when you have experiences in the dream, it's very clear to us that's not really me. It's some kind of a strange phenomena that I have, that I get saddled with. That's the word that I was looking for. You're saddled with something which is alien to you. This is what it is. But then when we get up, we feel, okay, this is me. This is me. This is, I know what I did yesterday, what my job is, what my children are. This is reality, this is what it is. And the Shastra tells us, my dear, are you listening to me? Even this is not who you really are. You are asleep to it. You are asleep to your own reality, and very much like in a dream, you are in fact saddled with, saddled with a non-reality which is troubling to you. A non-reality which I can contend with to a best of my knowledge. I can avoid problems and I can pravritti, nivritti, lakshana, samsara. I can avoid danger, nivritti. And I can go towards goodness, pravritti, to a certain extent. This I can do. But by and large, what I am depending on is not under my control. So Vedanta says, it's very interesting. You think this mind, this body, this jiva is yours. That's what you think. It isn't, but you should understand why it isn't. Because our basic need is to be joyful. Everyone wants to be happy. If your body and mind was yours, you will ensure that you'll never get into problems. You will never have dukkha. You'll always be happy, isn't it? Because that's what I want. That's the very essence of desire, the essence of what I want. Whatever you want, you should be able to get, but you don't. Why? Because in reality, the mind and body, etc., the one that you are fully attached to, leave aside the secondary yours. Secondary yours means children, house, money. Please remember, I'm not using spouse in that. You already have discovered this is the process of marriage, is that spouse is also not yours. You already realize that. He or she is completely independent, works completely independent. So that one you don't agree. But children, money, house, job, etc., you feel like they're mine, just like you think that the body and mind in particular. So as we go further into the advanced Vedanta, really speaking, the one that is more important to me is my mind, the Sukshma Sharira. That is the one that gets me into trouble. That's the one that can elevate me. And the play of the mind, the whole samsara, etc., becomes much more focused on this Sukshma Sharira. So we say the Sukshma Sharira also is not yours because, exactly as I said before, if it was yours, you will never get into a problem. Never get into a problem. It's not yours. So therefore, and yet, so what that means is that this so-called waking means this is me. This also is a kind of a covering. This is not you. You are someone different from what all this is. This is what this word ekatma pratyaya saram tries to reveal. If we are qualified to understand it, if we are even semi-qualified to, and we don't have to be fully qualified, but some kind of an understanding that we can possibly get because of our exposure, because of our training, because of our the knowledge, we begin to understand what is it that I really am, that I'm missing. What am I asleep to? That's a good way to look at it. So Vedanta says that in a way, you may not be asleep, but you are sleepwalking. And we've heard of this phenomena, sleepwalking. People kind of get up. I mean, I have only heard of it. I don't think I've ever experienced it or met anybody in my life. But it happens. This is a known medical phenomena that people can get up from the bed and they can walk around, and but they are not awake. So Vedanta says, really speaking, that's a good example. This is exactly what is happening to you. You are fully functional as a person, in charge of you think you are in charge of your life to a large extent. You are sleepwalking. And that means that's not your reality. That's how you get into trouble. That's how you have dukkha. Because if you really were awake, meaning if you look at your nature, which is that of pure sukha, you'll never go into any kind of a dukkha. This is the premise. And to explain this is a very important word, ekatma pratyaya saram. We say that it's an important word because so far in this verse number 7, it has been pointed out what you are not. What you are not. But it has not pointed out what you are. See, when somebody says, who are you talking about? Somebody, you're giving a description of a person. Say, who are you talking about? So you say, that's not your friend, okay? And that's not the local police, okay? You keep on giving all these examples, not the local police, it's not the post office, it is not the senator, it is not the president. But I say, who is it? You have not shown me who I am. You've only been given adrishtam, avyavaharyam, etc. Prapancha upashamam. Prapancha, you have not given prapancha upashamam, but so far you are not. All these things you have been giving it. First time it gives a positive indication of who you are. You see, even there, the positive indication cannot be with a finger. You cannot say this person. So this is what it was said earlier. You know, Avyapadeshyam. Just before this word ekatma pratyay saram, in fact, is this word avyapadeshyam. Avyapadeshyam means you cannot directly point it out. Why? Because you are the person who's behind the direct pointing out. It is not an object that you can point out, as we normally do. When we say, okay, let me tell you who this person is. This is the person. This is the one I was talking about. Meet my friend. I've been talking about this so far. Here is the person. That you can do. Atma, you cannot do that because it is the behind all objects. It is the subject behind all the objects. So avyapadeshyam. Despite that, now we can say, okay, if you cannot point it out, if you say that it is avyapadeshyam. Vyapadeshyam means that can be directly pointed out. Avyapadeshyam means that cannot be directly pointed out. Then why are you saying ekatma pratyaya saram? So there it means you have to, there also it is not vachyartha but lakshyartha. Lakshyartha means it has a lakshanam. It's a lakshanam. You cannot directly point it out. You know, like for example, this example is usually given by many of the Mahatmas. So suppose you see a person who is walking on the road and he is obviously very drunk, very inebriated. He can hardly keep his steps and the way he talks and so on and so forth. But you don't know his name. So what you do is, and then you find him again and again. Like in the evening, you're sitting there with some friends, and this person usually passes by. But you don't know his name and you don't know exactly what he is. So what you will do is, you will say, here comes Mr. Johnny Walker. Here comes Mr. Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker is a whiskey. It's a well-known brand from Scotland, I think. Johnny Walker. And there's all kinds of black label and red label, and this is a big issue between the trade between UK and India. And they have actually now reduced the duty on these Scottish whiskey. So people that drink a lot in India, they're very happy about it. It's a lot cheaper. And the Britishers are very happy because now they can export more. Anyway, that's on the side. So you say, here comes Mr. Johnny Walker. Mr. Johnny Walker is a lakshyartha, na vachyartha. Vachyartha means supposing that person really was named Johnny Walker. Supposing there's a person by the name of John Walker. Then you can say, here comes Mr. John Walker. You don't have to guess. You don't have to guess. But if you give it a name, Johnny Walker, implying that this is a person who drinks a lot of whiskey. And here he comes again after happy hour. 2 or 3 drinks at half the price. And there he comes. then without his name as being Johnny Walker, it becomes clear that he is the one who is inebriated, isn't it? So this is called Lakshartha. So therefore, we can say immediately following Avyapadeshyam, we can say Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. You see the interesting positioning of these two words. On one hand, you say Atma. Atma means the you, the reality that we are looking at, cannot be pointed out. This is what it is. Avyapadesha means I cannot point you. When I was saying you, I don't mean you, the body-mind complex that I see in front of me. But this is what it is. You cannot point the Atma out, and the very next word you are pointing him out. So there I say that there is no contradiction. There is no contradiction here that you cannot point it out and now you're pointing it out. You are in fact pointing it out only from an implied meaning, Mr. Johnny Walker. So that we will see. What does that mean? What is the implication? And when you put it all together, so the Ekatma Pratyasaram has to be put together with the other words. This is why the negative knowledge, the nunj, na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, not this, adrishtam, avyavaharyam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam, etc. can be given. It has to be done along with those words. Not this, not this, not this. But it is there. In fact, it is the person who is the most important person, which is you. It is there. So how do we point it out? So you have to use this word Ekatma Pratyasaram with all the other words, as we will see. And this is how the teaching progresses. So there it says, let us look at each segment in this word, Ekatma Pratyasaram. One is Eka. Eka means single, single-handed. Single-handed, just a second, let me shut this thing off. Single, Eka. Atma, of course, means you. You, or from your perspective, I, the single I. So Atma, Eka, Atma, so becomes Ekatma. Then comes Pratyaya. Pratyaya means an appearance, a thought. Thoughts are an appearance. So whenever you think of something, it appears to you like the way you think. It is an appearance. So the word pratyaya and can also be, they use the word pratiti. This is a very interesting word. Swami Akhandananda had dissected this word pratiti, which is the same as pratyaya. he had dissected pratiti as prati plus iti. Pratiti means prati plus iti. So this is all very consistent, very clear in the way. See, this is why we say that you should really study Sanskritam. Because what happens is, unless the person who is teaching you the Atma Vidya knows Sanskritam and can unlock the meaning of the words, unless you have a teacher who knows Sanskrit, or you should know Sanskrit. English alone cannot convey, because the language is not meant for spiritual knowledge. You know, in the recent retreat that we had for 2 days, or many of you were there, we used the word experience and anubhava. So if you recall, the Sanskrit word for experience is anubhava. And we unfolded that word as to what it means. Anu means following, bhava means bhavati. What follows something is called anubhava. So that's the meaning of the word experience. So the word experience cannot accurately depict what is happening. So the meanings are all in the words. So here also, pratyaya is pratiti. Same word. I think pratyaya itself can be dissected, but let me go over to its synonym, which is pratiti, and dissect that one. So here, Swami Akhandananda says, pratiti consists of 2 things, one prefix and one dhatu. So, prati means the prefix and iti is the dhatu. Prati iti. Prati iti. What does that mean? And why is it so consistent with what you are saying? In fact, it is ekatma pratyaya. It is leave aside saram for a minute. No, we can include saram also. Ekatma pratyaya saram. So saram, which means the essence, is iti. See, I'm trying to do the equivalence of those two. So saram means, so let's finish the word meaning of all the segment meanings of the word. So, and I'll come back to pratiti in a minute. So we've done eka, we did atma, we've done pratyaya, which we are now further analyzing, and then there is saram. Saram means the essence, the reality, the basis. So that's what ekatma pratyaya saram is. If you want to write a sentence to explain this word, it would be I am the essence of all my thoughts. That would be a good translation. I alone of all thoughts. That would be ekatma pratyaya saram. Okay, we'll come back to it in a minute. Let's go back to pratiti. So pratiti is prati plus iti. Iti means this is the way it is. Pratiti, iti. Iti means this. In fact, it's interesting. The word, again, the same thing about history. Okay? The word history. What does it mean history means? I'm not sure how you dissect the word history, but if you look at the Sanskrit meaning of history, it is itihasa. The meaning of the word history in Sanskritam is itihasa. So I know that those people that know Hindi, or I guess in other vernacular languages, in Telugu, in Tamil also, it must be something like that. I'm not sure. But in Hindi, it is itihasa. Sanskritam is itihasa. So itihasa means iti plus ha plus asa. Itihasa. So iti means this is the way it was. That's the meaning of itihasa. That's the meaning of history. So there the word iti also comes in. Iti plus ha means indeed. So itihasa means indeed this is the way it used to be. It was. Called itihasa, history. Anyway, going back to the word iti. Iti means this is the way it is, which is the same as saram, which is the same as I, the Atma. Then the word pratiti. So the word pratiti comes from prati plus iti. And prati means not iti, but one that is an appearance of the iti. This is what pratiti means. An appearance of the iti. If you want to just have a very quick understanding of the appearance of the iti, when you look at yourself in the mirror, what you see is an appearance of you. And you can say it is very much like me. In fact, in a clear mirror is indistinguishable. What you see in the clear mirror in a lighted room is almost an exact replica of what you are. But it is a really not iti. Iti means you who is looking at the mirror. That's how you are in that example. An example of this body. So that body is what you are. And then what it appears as is pratiti. Prati means a copy. You can almost say a kind of like an opposite. So the word prati also can mean an opposite, but here it really means like a copy. So pratiti, that's what pratyaya is. I tell you, this is worth really thinking about, because I'm just telling you from my own experience, and because, in the retreat I had made a comment which just occurred to me to make that comment, but I think it's an accurate comment, that in the retreat that we just had, I felt like a doctor who's prescribing a medicine for the disease of samsara to the people listening to me. That's what I was doing. Instead of a specific disease, you can go to a talk. And that's what happens on Channel 9 on KQED on Saturday morning. It must be going on right now. They have all these people that talk about specific diseases, heart disease, diabetes. And then you have somebody who comes in and says, this is what you should avoid, this is what you should do. And you all sit there and say, yeah, this is true, this is true. So essentially the retreat was kind of like hopefully a qualified doctor who's talking about the diseases that I can feel confident about pointing out. And this is a very peculiar doctor because that doctor has the same disease that he is trying to also teach to the others. So when I was preparing for the retreat, it just occurred to me that is really what's happening. If you want to call it this original thought, maybe it is one of those rare, small original thought. This did not come from any of the Mahatmas. This was kind of like on my own, but I think it's an accurate one. I felt like I'm prescribing medicines for you for the same disease that I have. And it's an advantage because my disease and my experience, I'm dedicated to solve it for my life, for my own self. So when I'm teaching, really speaking, I'm hopefully helping you, but I'm really trying to articulate in my own mind. This is very interesting. Swami Chinmayananda made that point. I remember this. There's only probably about 50 to 100 concepts from Swami Chinmayananda that I remember. And those ones, once I got them, I don't forget. But I don't have a lot of them. I think from Swami Dayanandji, I have maybe 1,000 because I spent so much time with him. But with Swami Chinmayananda, I think it's a few dozen. One of them was, I still remember this so well, it's very similar to this doctor with the same disease. One of the concepts Swami Chinmayananda said was, and he said it very sincerely, he said, when I am teaching, he said that, I am also addressing my own mind. My own mind should be a student because it's a possibility that unless you are a Brahmanishta, unless you have a complete understanding, you solidify your own understanding, you also make your own mind as also a patient that you're teaching others. Anyway, I felt that. The reason I say this is because I go back to Ekatma Pratyasaram. I have not forgotten that. What I find in my own life is, and I think I mentioned this, or maybe not, I didn't get enough time to finish this thought. So this is why I think we'll need to continue with that. The hardest viveka, the most beneficial and also the most subtle, and you might say hardest, although I don't like to use the word hard or easy. It is what it is. But nevertheless, something which is so subtle that it requires a final confrontation is the viveka between I, the saram, and the pratyaya of the saram. Just like it is almost identical between you and your image in the mirror. It's hard to distinguish, but of course it may be hard to distinguish, but they're not the same. They're a different level of reality. But there, it is very easy because I'm looking in the mirror. I don't mistake that I am that mirror. I am that image. Even though the image looks like me, it's an appearance that looks like me, I don't get confused by it unless I am either an animal or a child. So this is a very interesting thing, that a child, if you look at a child, what the child does is simply take whatever it is looking at, it's only focused on that. What is the nature of the thing? It's not yet capable of grasping. So the first step is simply you take something and you just see, yeah, you want a candy? Yes, I want a candy. You want to be beaten? No, I don't want to be beaten. Well, what the reasons are, what's behind it, you cannot do that. So similarly, they say that child, when the child looks at a mirror, it gets confused. It thinks it's another person. It cannot even think that this image looks like me. It cannot even think that because it doesn't know what he or she might look like. He's only looking outside. So he sees an image and it says, interesting. There's a live person and a person in the mirror and they look very much alike. They say that even in the animals, a dog. So the dog's mind also is not as developed as a human adult, although it is very sharp in certain things. But overall, it cannot think that much. So when it sees another dog in the mirror, it starts barking, saying, I have got a competitor. So what I'm saying is that, so listen to this is interesting, that to be able to see that my copy is not me, it looks like me, and it is in a different level of reality than me, is an understanding that takes some mental growth. It is not obvious. You don't start with that. What you start with is just like you see something, but you don't really have any background behind it. And one other interesting thing. Very recently, in the last few years, as I'm growing older and my friends are growing older, we have come across several cases of people that have Alzheimer's. Very interesting. I just want to point the similarity of that. I'm trying to remember at least 4 or 5 cases. 2 of them, our friends, close friends. Close friend means we have known each other for 50 years. And in both these cases, they happen to be women, but it doesn't matter. It could be anyone. Are in very advanced stages of Alzheimer's. Very advanced. Because now we have seen what are the stages. I've become almost like an expert. I wouldn't say an expert, not a medical expert, but you can tell what the stages are. And you know, there's a stage that comes in, as we can tell, where, and then these 2 women are in their late 70s, very accomplished adults. There comes a stage in their mental disease of the Alzheimer's, where their looking at things is identical to that of a child. That's what I wanted to point out. It's very fascinating. How when we go and visit them, and in one case, their spouse is alive, in the other case, their spouse has also passed away, but the children are there. And so they describe how this patient behaves, and we see them also. This one person, this friend of ours that has an Alzheimer, will just look at you and smile, not remembering your name. You know why? Because your name requires a memory, a samskara. You must have a stored memory of the person you are looking at and what is their name. And when you look at the person, you have to compare that to the stored memory. There is a match, and you say, yes, this is such and such. They don't have that. So their storage, their memory, the cloud memory that they have, which is what we all walk around with, is missing. Slowly, I guess, the connections in the brain, because of the Alzheimer's, gets diffused upon these 2 ladies. They will really look at you and smile, and if you give them some food right there, they will eat it. There comes a point where they cannot even eat it. That's later on. But what they had before, what is going to come later is missing. So anyway, going back to it is to the fact that a person can look at a reflection of themselves and they cannot yet distinguish that the reflection is not as real as they are. It is a copy of them, and it really is kind of fun to look at a copy of yourself in the mirror. Is fun. You can make faces at yourself. When I shave in the morning, you know, I don't look at myself. I look at my image in it. I cannot shave on my own. There'll be all kinds of, hair that I would miss. But I have to look at the image to make sure that all my growth, the beards and the mustache and so on, is properly shaved off. But I don't really mistake that to be myself. It's very interesting that I'm looking at the mirror, but I'm feeling my own face, the razor touching my own face. So I have that knowledge, that understanding. When I lose that understanding, or if I don't have it to begin with, now I get into problems. So now I can close that point. I'm spending some time on this because I think that I've discovered that this is the disease I have to focus on for myself. And I suggest that you do too, because you and I are one and the same. You may look slightly different, you may have a slightly different age. Fundamentally, all of us exactly are the same person. So if it is helping me, it should help you too. And what should help me is the viveka between the sakshi and the pratyaya of the sakshi, the image of the sakshi, the appearance of the sakshi, the copy of the sakshi. The copy of the sakshi is what? So the saram is Atma. But Atma Pratyaya, look at this. Think about this. The Atma Pratyaya is the copy. We'll go into this in more detail. I'm just proceeding it systematically. So the saram is the I. That is the real I. But the pratyaya of the Atma is what is called the I thought, also called ahankara. Ahankara, aham karoti iti ahamkara, the one that appears as I. So this is how we can proceed. This is why the example of a dream is so important, because at every point you can say, really? How can that be? This is how it is. So if you just look at the dream. Just think about the dream. It was interesting. I'm trying to recall, I forget who, I was talking about this at the retreat, and one person came up to me and he said, you know what, I have a problem, I don't dream at all. I never get any dreams. I can never remember them. And that's not surprising, because that happens to all of us. In fact, for a long time, you would find that there is no recollection of a dream, and all of a sudden you see something. But you forget that you actually saw a dream. The phenomena that I am really fascinated with is that the more I look into it, the more I am aware of some of my dreams. I'm very grateful for that. This is very, very helpful to me. And this happens even in the middle of the night when I am dreaming, and sometimes when I get up in the morning. So what happens is that when I am, and it's almost like, it's very interesting things that are happening to me. I think it's Ishvara giving me some help. That I tend to become awake when I am dreaming. And the reason I say that is because it is extremely helpful to me to become awake immediately after dreaming, because the problem with the dream is that you forget. It looks like a distant memory and you dismiss it. Oh, that's nothing. This is the reality and the dream is nothing. But if you were to wake up immediately very close to dreaming, the feeling, my God, this is what I was doing. And this now is beginning to happen to me every night. And I really love it. Really like it. Why? Because even though it takes me a little longer time to fall asleep again, I must admit that. But I don't mind it. Because I'm able to see the comparison between my dream experience and my waking experience side by side. And it becomes more and more, it becomes easier and easier for me to look at my waking experience as like a dream. It's becoming more and more clearer to me. Anyway, that's on the side of the dream experience. But let's go back to Ekatma Pratyasaram. So here's what happens in the dream. Okay? Which we can all see. You can also see it. It's not as though I'm better or superior or anything. It just so happens that because I am now focusing on it, I am so grateful to Ishvara to make me be aware of my dreams more and more. Not the content of it. I don't care about that. Although in the content also, I'm also searching. Just like I'm searching in this life also as to what's my reality, what is going on. It's a search. And so I find that the same themes also appears in the dream also. So that part I can recognize. But beyond that, people, etc., I don't worry about that. That's the way things are. But here's the thing, Ekatma Pratyasaram. In the dream, you play a major role in the dream. Just like in this one, you are the center of your waking world. Everything happens around you. I thought, I went there. This is what my plans are. Oh, I forgot to do this. I did. So, in and through, you all have this thought, this didn't happen to me, that person was very nice to me, this person is not good, so this is this thought, and all of that is I thought. You are the awarer, isn't it? So this is an important thing. You cannot have this thought without I thought. Please write this one down. This is crucial. Obvious but crucial. You cannot have this thought without I thought. So I'll come back to it in a minute, but let me continue with the dream part. I haven't quite finished that. So in the dream also, you are the most important person. So there you have, I was doing this. Why did this happen to me? I is also, there is no dream without the I dreamer. No dream. This happens to be a very important thing. We will refer to it later on also. That the I thought and the thought of the whole universe all go together. They collapse at the same time and they rise up at the same time. The I thought as an integral part of the life of experience is not separate from it. It is all part of it. Just like in a dream, you have an I thought and this thought. These thoughts, that thought, this thought. So this is called Drishya Pratyaya, and Aham Pratyaya is a fundamental part of the dream. You cannot have a dream meaning your dream experience, without being an experiencer. Those two are together. They are complementary. And guess what? This is important. I mean, everything is important. I don't know why I keep saying this is important, as though other things are not important. I'm just saying this is something that one should really focus on. So I said two things. One is that the dream proves that you cannot have this thought without I thought, right? So this is one key statement. You cannot have this thought without an I thought. The second key statement, both the I thought in the dream and the this thought in the dream are false. Both of them are mithya. Both of them are false. That's not you. Very obvious. Of course you'll say, yeah, I knew that. Why are you talking about it? The reason I'm talking about it is because we have to use the same logic. This is why Ishvara has given you the experience of a dream, so you see the completeness of the logic in that example and then apply it to your own life. This thought cannot be without I thought. Both are a pair. Dvandva. They are called dvandva. They come as a pair. They disappear as a pair. They arise as a pair. They stay there as a pair. This and I are what comprises the experience of a dream. And they both are false. False means, what do you mean by false? False means they come and go. They come and go. They arise and they are gone. But something persists. They may be gone. The pratyaya may be gone. So the I thought, ekatma pratyaya may be gone, but the saram remains, isn't it? Because the dream may be gone, but you are still there. You were there before the dream. You are there after the dream. You are still there. Very similar to that is the I thought in the waking world. In the waking world you will see, which is like a dream world in a more elaborate fashion. That's all it is. It is exactly the same as a dream, but one which you have practiced more. You've put more investment into it. It is less casual. It has samskaras and vasanas which have been repeated. It looks like a reality. But there also we have the whole waking experience. I couldn't call it waking dream if you want to call it. We'll continue on that. It's a very beautiful exposition coming on Prapancha Upashamam. So we'll come to that probably next class. But in any way, the waking dream, if you want to call it. You know, it's interesting. I was telling you about the fact that I'm noticing this, that Ishvara wakes me up right after a dream. I was telling you that. And I think, I don't know whether Swami Akhandananda proposed this, suggested this, or it came out of my own. Regardless, when I'm awake after a dream, I tell myself, now I am entering a second dream. I suggest that you really investigate that. Just by giving that thought to your mind that now I'm entering a second dream, you are beginning to open the door to reality. Anyway, going back to the waking dream, same thing is happening. In this waking experience, let's call it experience for now, there is an I thought and a this thought. Same thing. Identical. At every experience there is an I thought. In every experience there is a this thought. I thought and this thought. Both are there, complementary, complementing each other, dvandvas. You cannot have a waking experience without the I thought. You cannot have a waking experience without the this thought. They come up together, they disappear together. They are the two essential constituents of the waking experience. And you cannot have this thought without the I thought. And guess what? Both of them are false. So you might say, well, wait a second. I can tell that the dream pair of I thought and this thought is false because it's gone. But the waking experience is never gone. So how can I tell that this is also going to be gone? So you know the answer to that is you're not listening. You are not following the script of the teaching. Did you say it is always there? I say it is not always there. You say it is always there. You kindly give me your proof and I'll give you my proof. And let's decide which one is real. My proof is that the waking experience also dissolves. What's your proof? All you can say is, it doesn't appear to be dissolving while I am awake. Yes, it cannot. It will later, but not at this moment. But whether it is later or now, don't you see that the waking experience also dissolves? It disappears every day. You cannot say it is permanent. It comes back, yes. But when it is gone, if it was real, it will never be gone. But it goes. So really speaking, there is something funny going on where the I thought, which is ekatma pratyaya, the I thought, and therefore the this thought also is false and disappears. As all pratyayas are supposed to. The copy, the image cannot be as real as you. It has so much dependency on where you are looking, at what time you're looking. It depends on desha, kala, vastu. So the I thought is the ahankara. And that is the one that all experienced students of Vedanta must finally focus on. To do the viveka between the sakshi and the I thought, the ahankara. This is why it takes more thinking, more effort, more focus. And we'll continue to do that in the next class. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. All soul is false and disappears. Oh, so interesting that in both in Telugu and Kannada, it is also called itihasam. So yeah, the word has three components: iti, ha, asa. Asa means the past tense, as was. Ha means indeed, means please don't doubt it. So so for example, the Ramayana, the life of Krishna and the life of Rama are called itihasa. Called itihasa means please don't doubt it. This is the way it was. It really did happen. So that's the definition of the word itihasa. That's what I keep requesting all of the serious students to really learn some of the basics of Sanskritam, see how words are formed, be familiar with some of the Vedantic terminology, because it is not just sort of like nice to do. I would say it becomes essential at this point to be able to dissect and to do the etymological analysis of the words, and it all kind of comes together in deepening your understanding. So it's very useful. So I really request any amount of time you should spend in learning Sanskrit. Anyway, good to see you all, and hopefully I will see you next week. Hari Om.